especially in Asia and Saudi Arabia, things like that, would consider the ultimate ring. The ultimate ring is one, the stone is jade. Jade is considered value and wealth. And we're gonna make this in 24 karat gold. I've been a jeweler for 40 years. I have never made a 24 karat gold ring before, but I have sold a few. So this is what I'm making. Can you see that? All right. And this is the jade I handpicked on our buying trip to Thailand in a spectacular, intense, beautiful, beautiful color. So the stone, let me show you the size of the stone. The stone is about a 12 millimeter. You don't need a high-tech gauge like this to do this job, but this gauge will show you the millimeter size. So the stone is about 12.4 millimeters. So, and then the width is about 8.5 millimeters, 8.6 millimeters, 8.6. Okay, so let's just use round numbers and say 12 by 8. So what I did was I took this, let's show you over here now because I'm gonna move quick. I don't have time today to be wasting time. I took a piece and I cut a size off. What I did was I said, all right, well, the stone is 12 millimeters and I wanna have 2 millimeters on each side. That 2 millimeters on each side is gonna give me a room for a bezel and have a little contour on the sides. So if it's 12, I wanna go to 16. This is a traditional millimeter gauge. So see how it goes past it on both sides? Can you see that? Mm-hmm. So it's going to go to that 16. Now, let's show you the wax I made. It is 16. You can see right here, it's right on the 16. So I've cut it on 16. Now, the next thing is it needs to be a size 9 1/4. And you take this bit. You can also use a, this will cut out a wax until you get to the right size. But I like using the flex shaft better. If you can't afford a flex shaft, this is the next best thing. So after I keep both, I'm moving this and I'm moving this. And why I'm doing that is it keeps the circle round. So after I cut it, I turn it, cut it a little bit more, and I got it to the right size. So now it is a 9 1/4. All right, I was trying to save time so you guys wouldn't have to waste time watching me do the basic stuff. Now the next thing, this is where it gets important, okay? We have to do a layout of this ring with the stone up and down. So let me show you what we're gonna do. I have 2 dividers, where's my good one? Okay, so this tool is your dividers. This is really, really important. So your gauge, all right, millimeter gauge, and your dividers. These two use consistently, constantly. So what I'm going to do is, I don't even have to use that gauge. I'm going to play with it and put different lines. You'll see why and understand why later. It's real important. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do equal lines. Because it's centered, I'm going to do equal lines. One line here, another line here. Then I'm going to do one line on the side, here and here. All this is going to make so much sense to you shortly, you're not going to believe it. I'm going to go a little shorter, even shorter. I'm going to do one line here, one here. Now at the top, I could do a line there. I don't really need it, but I did. And I'm going to go cut that in half here. It's all going to make sense. Trust me, trust me, trust me. All right, now I'm just about the center right here, right? So I just drew that in this line and this line. So we know the center is right in the middle right there. All right, now we're gonna go this way. We're gonna go for the center. It does not have to be perfect. Watch, you'll understand why. Now, I'm gonna go down all the way around this whole ring, folks, not part way. See, there's no line there? You're just gonna keep going all the way around. Turn the ring around. Was I in the middle? Almost, pretty darn close. Bring it all the way around. Now we're gonna do another line. Same thing, a little smaller. Watch this. This is cool because this line is going to create the width of my shank at the bottom. So now I know that distance right there is probably about 3 millimeters, maybe even 4, 3.5. So the bottom part of the ring right here is going to be that width. That's where I'm going with this. But it does need to be tapered up. So now, I did draw 2 lines down the sides. Let's go with another line or 2. There and there. We always do both sides. Why? To make it even. So this way, when you're cutting it, you'll see why, promise. This is gonna come up so cool. Now look at all the lines I put in here. Now remember, I said that's the center. We know that's the center. Between these 2 lines and between these 2 lines, that's the center. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put my dividers right in the middle. I'm digging a hole, all right? Now I'm gonna close it down. And we're gonna make it about 2 millimeters shy from the end. Look at that. Turn it around, and we're gonna set the stone on top and see how it looks. Right, so you see what I did? Now, this gives you an outline. I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to put it down straight. And if you notice, you can see the line on both sides just barely. This stone, this jade is slightly rounded on the bottom, so it's very, very smooth and it won't sit for me. But hopefully you get the idea. Do you see that? Can you see both lines? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Now, the width we had determined was, I think, 8 millimeters. 5, 6, 7, 8.5. So let's see, how wide are we here? Imagine that, we're 8 millimeters. I didn't even measure. I just did it by eye. So these kind of things are a lot easier than you might expect. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna cut a section out without doing the outline of the stone. All right, I'm gonna use my flex shaft today as far as time is concerned, to not waste your time. Now this is going to be about a $7,000 ring when it's done. And if you're wondering, why wouldn't you use CAD? Well, if CAD is going to charge me to make this ring for this guy, why not just do it myself? Why pay somebody else when I can make this CAD, make the actual piece in probably about an hour. If I sent the design to CAD, they would take at least a day, then they'd have to create it, then they'd send it back to me. And every day right now, gold keeps going up. So every day it takes longer and longer, then the price goes up and they're gonna charge me more. But the problem with they're charging me more is I've already given this man a price. The price is about $7,000 to make this ring. So that includes the jade, by the way. the price that he found for this exact ring was $11,000. I handpicked the jade and got a great price, and he's getting a great price. So he's happy, everybody's happy, and we're good to go. So why am I cutting out just a portion of this? And the reason why is because of that jade is slightly concave. What I want to do is I want to have a seat for it to be able to sit in, so that I can draw the outline and continue cutting down. All right. I'm going to change burrs to something that's not so aggressive. Very short. I can still see my center, but I don't want to have to keep poking the center. So I'm going to just drill a hole all the way through, so it's always there and I don't have to worry about it. With wax, you don't have to use a drill bit. You could find any kind of a ball burr, any kind of burr that's going to just drill through it. So that's nice. There's my mark. Done. It's already through. See that? All right. You always want to keep that center, so it's important to go ahead and use that center. What's going to happen after I cut this seat is really going to start to show the shape of this ring. It's really going to take form real quickly. I think you might be real surprised. So I'm coming out to the line, and I'm coming out just a tiny bit past that line because it was 8.5 millimeters, and the line is 8 millimeters. So I'm going to go just a tiny bit past. Let's see if that jade fits now. It's still a little short. The length needs to come a little bit more. All right, see how it fits down? Look at that. So it fits down inside right there. It's up just a tiny hair. So I'm just gonna open it up a little bit more. I'm gonna change this bit so I can be more gentle. I have lots and lots of bits, and I just sort of pick up whichever one I think is going to do the job. There's not really a specific in mind, but if you notice, it's just not as aggressive. Not as much wax is coming off the burr as it cuts through. You can always cut more. And remember, if I cut too much, I can use that purple wax and fill it in. And that's this right here. And that is the perfect purple wax. And this is perfect. This is fantastic. So if I did slip and cut it too deep or too wide, I can use that to fill in. And I would recommend that purple wax to every single person interested in carving wax. It's a real changer. It's awesome. So the next thing I want to do after I get this done I really don't want to go down too low. Because I want to have some, if you notice on this picture, this angle's on the side. It's not like it's flat. It's not a flat ring. So I got to have some height. We are like on the money. Very, very close right here. Now, take a look at this. Just using a pick to show you. I drew 3 lines. One is cut into, the second one is right there, and the third one is here. So let's go to that second line. Second line and second line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut everything off from here down to here to create that angle. So when I'm doing that, what angle do I want? Here's the line. And there's the line. So I'm going to cut from here to there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a wax. This is a regular metal saw blade. This is not a wax saw blade, because a wax saw blade can be too aggressive, and we don't want to make a mistake. All right, so I'm going to use my finger to adjust. I put the saw blade right against my finger to adjust for that line. See the line? I'm on the line. And now I haven't cut the shank of the ring yet. This is real important because I can lay the wax down. I got it. I can lay the wax down flat, and I know I'm cutting straight up and down. All right, so it doesn't matter whether I do this side first or the other side first, but I want to go to that line I said. All right, that line was the one I said, right there, right? I am eventually going to go to the next line and then to the next line. You'll see. But first, we're going to go from that mark to that mark, and we're going to create a line. See that? We're going to do the same thing on the other side. That line to that line. Now we'll go to the other side and do the same thing. And we're going to go from there to here. Honest to God, I've been doing this for about 20 years or 30, something like that, but I'm self-taught. I have had classes in different things, but now, do you see what I've done? It's the same section on both sides. The angle will go lower here, but first I want to take off the chunk of it, which will save time. All right. If you try to cut too fast with a metal blade, the blade will get warm and the wax will melt to the blade and get it gunked up. So it's nice to do it, but you got to be careful not to go too fast. Now you're going to see I did something wrong, and it's so easily corrected. And I got that off. Here's what I did wrong. I didn't do it wrong intentionally. I cut on the line here, but I was a little bit off here. So that means, look, I'm off on my line right here. This line, I'm right on the money. So I need to take the wax and I need to file it down to that line. And now both sides will be even. Here's the next tool I'm using, this wax file. It's very coarse and medium. I'm using the coarse side to not waste time. Time is money. All right, I did it. Now I'm going to go to the other side. So you can see the line I started with up top. You can see the line I finished with at the bottom. And that white edge is the line I actually put in. So now it's perfect. All right, so now let's go to the other side. trying to make sure that I don't do the same thing again, but with the file, you can adjust it anyway, so it's not a big deal. Really not a big deal. The nice thing about wax is that if you screw it up, you can just add wax to it. It doesn't matter. So we are using a file, and we're using a saw. Right now, the saw, first I cut a piece with the saw off of here, and then I cut the inside and then filed it. Now this is here. Now let's see how it is here. It's the same thing. The angle's off a little bit. Simple fix. That's it almost right there. Look at that. That was a lot less. All right, now we know that Jade, see now what I've done by doing this is I've created approximately a 2 millimeter section around the top. It's right on 2 millimeters. So we've got 2 millimeters here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. So now what we want to do is, we know the top is where we want it to be. We know we're going to cut down here, but we want this shank all right, we want to go ahead and make sure that shank stays nice, that width that I was talking about. And I'm going to go one more step. I can't put my line in from the top anymore, so I'm going to go from this line, and I'm going to go right here. See that? I'm going to make that right there. And what I'm trying to do is create that taper effect. So this is where it's going to start. And then it'll go from there and make the shank. So the next line from that tapered part right there, and I want to be on the outside of the line, folks, outside of the line. So I'm on the outside of the line, I'm putting a line in the ring, and I'm bringing it up to the corner, right? So it's this is when all of a sudden this ring is going to start taking shape. Now I'm going to go to that same corner off the side. I'm going to go from where it starts. This is an eyeball thing. Now if you wanted this to be, this is a men's ring, guys. If you wanted this to be a lady's ring, you would curve it in right here. It would have a curve to it, which adds that femininity. Is that a right word? Femininity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got it.
All right. So now I can cut and keep cutting all the way through on this side. Do the same thing on the other side. And I'll feel that saw blade starting to rub against my finger when I know it's through. It's not gonna hurt me. It just touched me. And do the same thing on this side. Now, some of you might say, well, how do you know you did the right cuts? Well, the sides, the center is here. So you've got a small section here and you've got a small section here. The blade cut in a little bit, so I'll have to file a little bit here to make it completely even. But that will make sure that my width is the same here and here and here and here and going all the way up. And it's all the way through on both sides. So I'm going to bring it around. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and the sections on both sides are going to fall right off. If you hear that noise, that is my dog. I have two dogs in here, and they're both, I think, frustrated that they're not out running around in the yard. So, but as long as they're not over here bugging me, we're okay. If they bug me, we need to take them out. You know, might be something funny that you see on my bench. I have two eyeballs right here. You might just take a look at this. If you're wondering what those are fox eyes that I purchased from a taxidermist, and I'm putting them in the sculpture of the fox that I've made. I carved out of a stump in the yard. So one of these days we're going to go out there and view that stump and show you what we made, what I made, and then install the eyes. Now some people might say, well, that's a long shank from here to here. That's a long shank. But realize this, that most likely we're going to taper it slightly. So when we work it in, it'll be tapered slightly. So now all I need to do is cut from this end to the other end. I'm keeping the line, I just broke the saw blade. I'm keeping the line on the inside, so I don't cut that line. I need to put a new saw blade on. That's what happens when you're trying to show what you're doing as you're doing it. All right, here we go. It's gonna cut off in a matter of seconds. Same thing. There it goes. Now see the ring? Now what we want to do is we want to start rounding this. We're going to go back to the file. I like this side better. Can you see that side okay? So it's aggressive. But remember I said it was going to go down to the other lines, and the reason why is because I've got to round this now. So I'm not filing straight, I'm rounding it. I'm filing it this way. You have to round it or you're going to have flat spots. You got to round it. Very important. anybody has any questions, please ask me. Happy to help. If you've ever wanted to do this, if a CAD designer charges you a couple $100 to make a CAD, then that would make sense that we've been doing this for 30 minutes, and if I get this whole ring done in an hour, then I'm getting $200 that I've at least saved, if not making, that I could have charged the customer to carve this wax. So you're making a good amount of money. If you're a wax carver, you can make good money doing this. And it's definitely part of the goldsmithing repertoire. I think that I do a lot of metal work, but carving wax, two things happen here. If I was filing away a gold piece, I would be losing so much metal. Yes, I can refine it, I can send it into the refiner, but you know, everybody's gonna take a piece, plus they charge you the refining fee. If I can carve it in wax, I get the whole thing carved down as much as possible, and then when I cast it into gold, there's a lot less work that needs to be done, which means a lot less filing, which means a lot less loss. So, and time. Filing a ring takes a long time, but filing wax, I'm gonna have this wax filed down to a very nice thickness and a nice width in the next 5 minutes, and you can look on your watch and time me. I can guarantee you I'm right. So what I'm doing is I'm going at an angle. I'm not going flat. I'm going at an angle and I'm rounding it, right? So what I'm trying to do is the sides are not going to be flat. If you notice on this picture, this is not flat. It's rounded. So I've got to round this. So I'm going to go across like that. Imagine I should be rounding the whole shank, right? Right. And just so happens the stone rounds right there. Isn't that perfect? Now you're rounding it and you decide, oh my God, I rounded it more on one side than the other. You use that purple buildup wax and you fill it in. You can take a wax pen and add more green wax, which is harder, build it back up and do it again. You know, anything that you're working on, if you screw it up, add to it and try again. Don't go as fast as I'm going.
What is CAD?
CAD, computer, what is it? Assisted or animated design. So CAD is a program that you can type in a program and it will build the design of the ring. And then the wax would be built by a wax building machine to fit all those designs. Now the only problem is this is not a calibrated stone. A calibrated stone would be 12 by 8. This is 11.5 by 8.5. So it is not calibrated. So and it's actually, I use round numbers just then. It's not even 11.5 by 8.5. It's 8.62 and 11.47. So it's hard to get those exact measurements done with CAD. So if they made the ring and they're a really good computer designer, but they're not a freaking goldsmith or a jewelry maker, they might not understand the angles that you want to get the performance that you're going to get. So you have to make corrections and changes and corrections and changes until they get it exactly the way you want. Well, guess what? That's my time. And by the time I'm done explaining it over and over again, I could have made the damn thing. So not always. I mean, they have wonderful purposes in life. Using a CAD is not a bad thing. But why use it when you can do something like this? I can do this myself in about the same amount of time it would take me to explain it to them. So they have a purpose, but they can do, you know, if you sent them a picture of the White House, A CAD program can put in the crisscrosses on every single window of the White House in a pendant about that big. It is spectacular how detailed this stuff can be. But this is not rocket science what I'm doing here. This is art, and it's it's a part of me, and I enjoy making it. So if you're not good at what you're doing with your hands, or you don't want to, then have a CAD designer do it. Draw it on a piece of paper, tell them what you want, and they'll create it, and they'll tell you how much it's going to be to create it. And after you finally approve it, they'll create the wax and send it to you to be cast, or send it to a casting company for you, and they'll cast it. The only thing is, like, most casting companies will not cast a ring in 24 karat gold. So guess what? I'm doing it myself. We have our own casting equipment, and we're going to do it ourselves.
Where did you learn a lot of the techniques that you're using?
Well, a lot of this is trial and error. Learning how to, what to look for as you're carving. But I have gone to, I took a wax carving course. I've taken wood carving, stone sculpting, clay sculpting at the Corcoran School of Art. I've done anything to be a better jeweler. So I've done hand engraving. So basically you learn a lot of different things. Right now, I could be done with this. I'm just sort of playing as I'm talking, trimming it down a little bit. But that's okay. It's getting really nice, it's beautiful. I'm really thrilled with the way it looks. So let's just take a quick look. This needs to be rounded more on this side. I can see it. So a lot of this stuff is done by eye, but you can turn around and use that leverage gauge to make sure that you did everything equally on one side to the other.
Do you do everything yourself, or do you have a store?
So I have a store, I have 4 jewelers. If I do this, most likely I'll have my stone setter, who's spectacular, and I'll have him set the stone, just because I like working with wax. So I could do the wax and finish it, and he can set the stone for me and sand the ring, polish the ring, clean it all up, and it'll be done. After it's cast, it could be done the same day.
How long have you had the store?
36 years. And if you ever thought about getting into a business like this, you can get into a business like this and take it from doing simple repairs for other jewelry stores, families and friends, all the way up to becoming a contractor, doing jewelry repair. Jewelry repair is a very, very good job to get into, because it's like the way they taught Michael Jordan. You have to shoot 1,000 free throws every day. Even though we know you're perfect, you still need to throw 1,000. So you're sizing rings, you size a lot of rings, but you come across a lot of different issues, and you learn from that, and you get paid for it while you're learning. And if one of those rings happens to melt, well, you have to fix it, and you're learning how to do that as well. But this part of it, wax carving, what I found was is that a lot of times on wax carving for customers, they would bring in a wedding band that was really bizarre looking, and they say, I can't find anybody to make a matching ring. So at one point I said, I can do it. And I tried doing it, and I came up with a really cool way to make sure it fit perfect. And that was by heating the ring and sliding the wax down on the mandrel, and the wax would melt and create a perfect contour matching up to the engagement ring. And then when I separated them, I would complement that contour on the outside. Now look at how we got this ring so far. And nice part is I still have my lines up top. So to me, this is still a little thick, and here, it's a little bit high. So I'm gonna take it down a little bit more. And I'm gonna round this all the way in. I'm just taking my time rounding it in. But I had said it was gonna take me about 5 minutes to do the shank, and as you can see, the shank is done. That portion is done. All right. I may clean up a little here, a little bit there, but right now, I'm gonna try to round it all the way in to the center. Now pieces like this, I sign my pieces. I joke with people and I say, you know, I'm making jewelry for all this time, and one of these days I get recognized and it'll be worth $1 million. And it's always fun. But the bottom line is, when they come back in and they bring in the ring to be checked or cleaned, and the salesperson doesn't know that that was a ring that I made, and then my initials are inside. And they see, this is a nice ring. The reason why it's so heavy, the reason why it's this or that is because it was custom made.
Do you do a lot of men's jewelry?
Yeah, you know, men's jewelry seems to be as popular as ladies. Not in the store. When people come in to buy a ring, we sell probably 20 ladies' rings to every one men's ring. But when you're having a custom rings made, men are, I don't know if they're more picky, but they don't buy a lot of jewelry, so they know what they want. So when they know what they want, they just wait and wait and wait, and they finally know, all right, that's what I want, and I can't find what I really want in my head in any jewelry store, so let's have it made. So I do make a lot of men's jewelry. It's funny to think, it's not like they're more picky, but you know, it's like a woman is adding to her collection. A man might only have one. And because he only has one, there is no collection. This is exactly what he wants.
What's this ring gonna be made out of?
This ring is gonna be made out of pure 24 karat gold. No alloy added. It is gonna be absolutely pure. And no, I have never done that in my life. But on a recent trip to Thailand, I bought a pure 24 karat gold ring with a GIA certificate saying it was pure gold, or not GIA, but it was a certificate saying it was pure gold. We did test it, it was pure gold, and it had a golden star sapphire in the center. It was oval, similar to this, but a really, really, really killer ring. And this gentleman saw that ring and said, I don't like the design on the side, but can you make something like that for me? And I said, yes. And then I breathed a little heavy there because I said yes, but I haven't done it before. In all these years, I've never done 24 karat. And so many people say, it's too soft, it's too soft. It's only too soft if it's too thin, if it's not strong enough. And I don't make anything too thin. But there is something else that is interesting about gold. In the United States, everybody says 18 karat's too soft. And I'm sorry, but that's a lie. 18 karat is not too soft. And it is only too soft because so many people in the United States have been told that, and it's because the standard in the United States is 14 karat. It's an excuse, so you'll buy the 14 karat. But 18 karat is 75% pure gold, where 14 karat is only 58.5% pure gold. 585, 58.5. So you're getting a little more than 50% gold on 14 karat gold. 18 karat gold is considered investment gold. And so whenever I make custom pieces, I really like to make them with 18 karat gold. Some people want the 14 because everything they own is 14. That's fine. But 18 karat, 20 karat, 22 karat, and now this ring at 24 karat, this is gonna be a knockout.
Did you go to the Thailand gem show?
Yeah. Actually, we bought this jade at the Thailand gem show. And I bought 5 jade. at the Thailand Jump Show, and that one is the best one I bought. Okay, now I'm going to cut the seat and set the stone down, and you're going to see. But there is another. Now this is a sand stick, and I was using it yesterday to work on some gold. And I wanted you to see something, because when you tear this away, you see fresh sandpaper. This is really important, because this sandpaper is worth a lot of money, the dirty part, because watch this. It's all gold. It all has gold flakes in it. Now that little bit of gold doesn't look like much, but you know what? Over time, it adds up tremendously. And when I want to do the inside of a ring, when I cut this down, the part that's under the tape is what I use for the inside of the ring. So I have sandpaper for the outside and the inside. It's not sandpaper, actually, it's emery paper. So we'll save this piece with the gold, and this piece is going to be with the gold, and this is for the wax. Now watch how much, you can see a lot of file waves, and this will take those out really nicely. There's two different levels of emery paper, and I use them both for gold and for wax. For gold, this would take 10 minutes, and wax, it takes 1 minute, maybe 2. Again, it's another reason why I like to make rings in wax. Everything is about time. Time is money. I know that I have jewelers that could be doing this for me, making a wax, but two things. One is I'm real picky, and two, I still enjoy it. So if I enjoy it, why have somebody else do it? It gives me a sense of accomplishment that I made something from a thought or a picture.
How long have you been wax carving?
About 20 years. And one of the things that, you know, it's you don't want to be a no man. No man saying, there's no such word as can't. You can do anything you want if you put your mind to it. Right? The only limitations we have in life are the ones we set upon ourselves. And those kind of attitudes, and having gratitude and appreciating your customers and making a living, not making a killing. And I didn't have to have this done by CAD, so guess what? I didn't have to charge him to do it by CAD. So he's saving money. I made it by hand, but I'm enjoying it. So who cares? But I'm making a living, I'm not making a killing. But our store is a multi-million-dollar store, and it has been for 35 years. Add it up, folks. Multi-million dollars, no college degree, learning how to help people. It's pretty nice. And this wax, the entire tube, costs about 10 bucks. You could make 20 waxes like this. And when they're cast into gold, I told you, this ring, if you didn't hear me, is about $7,000. That was the estimate to make this ring. $7,000 in 24 karat gold with that beautiful jade. And the estimate that he saw online was 11. It was either 11 or 11,800. So I'll bet you mine is going to be heavier and pure gold. His was 22 karat. It says it right on it, 22 karat. I'm not showing you because it has a customer's name. But you know, it's 22 karat gold that he was looking at. So I'm doing it in 24 karat. If they would have done it in 24, he probably wouldn't have asked me. And he would have spent the $11,000 instead of having to spend $7,000.
How do you get the gold out of the emery cloth or sandpaper?
You send it to a refiner. You send in the dirt off the floor. You send in the dirt. Watch this. I'm going to show you something. Anybody ask that question? Mm-hmm. So look in my pan here. This is my gold pan, and there's some little diamonds. I took and some gold. Look at this piece of paper. So it started like this, and now it has that. But when you're filing a ring, you also get all this dust. Well, that dust is all gold. And if you send it to a refiner that I recommend is United Refining. They're very nice people, very honest people, and they can send you a check back for your filings and your dust in little scrap pieces of gold, or your buffing wheels, or anything that you think, you know what, your vacuum bags, every time you vacuum the floor, save it. That dirt has gold dust in it. And you send it in, and they will give you a check, or they'll mail you fresh casting grains so you can cast more gold, or they'll send you payment in gold coins. And if you ever want to save a little money, you could always say, send me 1 gold coin and the rest in cash, and you put that coin away for a rainy day. You should always save. My dad gave me some very, very good advice, and he was not a jeweler. And he said, save 5% of every single deposit every day. For whether you do $100 a day or $10,000 a day, save 5% and pretend it's an employee. And if you save 5%, it's going to build up. Well, think of 5% of $1 million. That's $50,000. So if we only did $1 million a year, and we do 5 times that, if you did if you did $1 million a year, it's $50,000, and you times that by 30, right? That's 1.5 million before you have compounding interest, or you invest it into the stock market or whatever else. You know, so those are the little things, and more so than that, it's saving that money for emergency or a rainy day, because sometimes there are emergencies in life. And example of that is, oh my God, I have to pay taxes, and I don't get the write-off that I should have. I should have had a write-off, but I'm not getting a write-off for one reason or another. So if I'm not getting a write-off, then I need to have some cash. So one way to get cash is to save that 5% every day. Another way to get cash is to send in this gold to be refined. Little pieces of gold that get cut off of rings, old clasps, sizing pieces, filings, and things like that. When I closed my last store, we cut the carpet up that went into the shop, and we sent in the carpeting. And that carpeting we ended up getting thousands of dollars for sending in scrap carpeting, because there were gold particles in the carpeting over years of walking on it. And the gold flakes would be on your feet. All right, so right now what I'm doing is I'm talking too much and not telling you what I'm doing. I'm cutting the seat. All right, I'm cutting the seat for the Jade. And if you notice, that seat is like a lip.
What tool are you using?
Well, it's a straight line drill bit that is going to cut a straight line into it. So what I'm trying to do is, it's instead of being straight up and down, it's a little bit wider at the end. So it's causing the cut to cut underneath a little bit. So it's making it a little bit wider. And I'm looking at the end of this burr, and I'm going down the same depth, so that when I go around, I'm at the same depth all the way around. Oh, somebody's here. And if you guys didn't know what I did before I did this, I was military police. I worked at the White House for President Reagan. But they taught jewelry making in high school, and I wanted a part-time job. So I got a job as a goldsmith apprentice. And in high school, they had you making things with brass and silver. Brass was so hard to work with. I learned something absolutely spectacular and incredible about being a jeweler for a mall store that was doing everything in gold. And what I learned is gold is easier to work with than silver, because silver, you have to heat the whole mass. So if I wanted to solder a ring right here, I have to heat the whole ring. And if there was a stone in here, it could destroy the stone. And with brass, it's really hard. You feel like you're destroying the file, just trying to file it and make it smooth and polished. So it just took forever. When you're working with gold, it's like working with butter. It's like working with this wax. It's nice and smooth and comes out with a beautiful finish. All right, we are like 99%. I just have a little bit more to go right on the end. So these lines are going to go away. I know I could push it, snap it in, but I could break the wax, so I gotta be careful. So I do have, as I said, a store, but I'm working from a private studio, my studio, and my store runs itself. And I go in to visit specific people, talk to them on the phone, or thank them for coming in, because they could go anywhere and they're coming to us, and that's really nice. But it's important that I can do this and not get any interruptions. See, that line is still there. Remember I said it had to go to the line. So I haven't hit that line. That's why I know I just have to go just a tiny bit more. Tiny bit more. Hit the line. Just hit the line.
Will the jade possibly break during the bezel setting process?
No, it won't. It could, but it's not gonna. Watch this. That's how good that bezel fits. That fits so good. So remember, if you see a little bit of a gap right here, that gap is because it's cut straight up and down, but the stone is concaved at an angle. So when this gets hammered down, it's going to hammer into the stone on both sides. Then we'll hammer this one in both sides. Look at the way this sticks up like that. Isn't that pretty? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take the stone back out. How do I get it out? Remember I drilled the hole? So I'm going to push through the hole, and the stone's going to come out. There's the stone. And now I'm going to contour it a little bit more. I know I used the sandpaper to make it smooth, but now I'm going to use the file again. I'm going to contour it a little bit more, and then I'm going to put a flat top on it, and we should be done. So the next thing I'll do is I will call my customer and meet with him and make sure the ring fits him. He can try the wax right on. He can see how wide it is. He might say, I want it a little narrower. If he wants to change anything, many of the changes can be done while the customer is there in just a few minutes of time at the shop at the store. All right, so instead of using a file to make this smooth, I'm going to use this emery paper, Emery paper is pretty beat up. Here's some area that's cleaned up. I just want to take a little bit. I don't want to take too much. So I want to make sure the stone is going to fit. Alright, now go in, push down. Can you see it? Looks pretty good. Stone's tight. So when this is cast in 24 karat gold, I'll ream the inside to make it smooth. There's no burrs that could hit the stone and causes a chip. That was a good question whoever asked. You always want to polish the inside so that it's nice and smooth edge to go up against the smooth edge. And then what I'll do is take an electric hammer and I'll hammer here, all the way around, here and here, all the way around until it folds in. And that stone is never coming out. That's it. It's going to be in there forever. And then I am going to open up the back a little bit so it's easier for him to clean, and the stone will be a little bit more translucent so it doesn't look too dark when it's cast in the gold. But that's it. I think that's about it. I may play with it a little bit more. I have to sand where I filed it, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I am going to cast this in 24 karat gold. I will do another live video of casting it in 24 karat gold. And I did say I have jewelers that'll set the stone, but I'll set the stone just so you can see me setting the stone. Okay? Cool. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for tuning in. I've got about 5 more things I got to do today, so time for me to shut my mouth. Have a good day.